Hello, welcome to another PG rated review. I'm your host Patrick Gleason from Out of the Basement. Today I will be talking about The Joker, the huge sort of origin story of one of DC's long enduring villains for Batman, The Joker. Starring Joaquin Phoenix, who in my mind just start off the bat deserves an Oscar.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. I'm just a poor boy, I need no sympathy. Because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me.
So now before we go any further, I just want to make sure, people understand mental illness is no laughing matter, and it's also should not be a stigma. Lots of people have different types of mental illnesses. We're learning more and more about the brain as we go along. If you feel depressed, anxiety, or other sort of things, please try and get some help as much as you can, because I know sometimes it's not easy to do that, to either get the help or be willing to go through the help. It's not easy, but please try. So on that downer bit of a note,
why so serious?
You don't listen, do you?
You talking to me?
You think this is funny?
on to The Joker. For me, this is the best movie of the year, bar none. Like, I don't care. I enjoyed Endgame and stuff like that, but The Joker is a truly great masterpiece. It makes you think. It questions a whole bunch of things. You could watch it once and then have an opinion of how things are going and what's up, and then you go watch a second time, you're like, no, maybe I was wrong for that, and you talk to someone else who watched the movie with you at the same time, saw everything at the exact same time as you did, and go, no, that's not, I don't think that's right. I think it's more like this. Which to me are the great movies, when you can have a discussion with a bunch of people and you're all right, because in the end it's art, and art is subjective. So how you see it is the way you would see it. And today I'm going to talk about how I saw it. I'm not going to try to have very many spoilers, because it's still a movie I think I'll watch. I'm going to give a few overall generic types spoilers, which you'll see when I get to. I'm changing the format today. I'm not going to do the good, the man, the what the fuck, because to me, pretty much, the movie was great from start to finish. A couple minor little things from my point of view, and also didn't turn out to be my minor points of view or minor issues when I thought about it from a different perspective. And now I know you're sitting there going like, what's he talking about? Well, make up your mind. So, first of all, best movie of the year. This is going to get the highest rating I can possibly think of. Yes, this is going to be the perfect 12 pack. The best beer you can go out and find, microbrewed or premium, whichever is your top line beer. A full 12 pack, nicely chilled. That's what this is. A masterpiece. This is almost perfect. And I say almost because, I'm never happy. There's always minor little things you go, well, that's going to change. But in this one, I don't know what I would have done differently. So I'm, like I said, almost hurt, because there's going to be people that will be saying, hey, well, no, if they'd done this, it would have been better, or this should have been done this way. For me, this is a movie I want to get. I want to watch over and over, and 10 years down the line, we'll watch it again. I just hope right off the bat, I do not want to see a Joker 2. Not at all. This movie should stand on its own. On to more of a dissection of the movie, and people are talking about it as, some people are saying, well, this is a new origin story for the Joker, Batman's main villain. And this is where they were a little afraid, because it's like, well, it's a superhero movie. Have it hit the peak of superhero movies? Are people getting tired of origin stories? And when I first watched it, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, it's an origin story of Joker, and that's where it was like, I did have some issues after the first viewing, going, well, that doesn't quite work. They change Batman and Bruce Wayne and Gotham. They change it too much, or enough that you're going, it doesn't work. As the Joker. And then I thought about it and going, well, what if it's not an origin story? All right. So I'll throw a quote in here. René Descartes, great French philosopher, went, "I think, therefore I am." You sort of be, if you have consciousness, you are, alive. But what if who you think you are is not who you truly are? And that's what happens with a lot of times, sometimes with mental illness, with sociopath breakdowns, hallucinations, and that sort of thing, which can happen. Even though you think you know what's happening, it's not really happening. I did see my father go through some dementia where he didn't even recognize himself in a mirror. Take that. Now imagine, okay, let's say the Joker, or Arthur Fleck as he's called, grew up with comic books, specifically Superman and Batman, Detective Comics, the Justice League of America, and Justice League. Imagine if he sort of felt that world was better for him than the world he was in, because the world he was living in was not very pleasant. It was dark. He was abused, all that sort of stuff. So imagine himself in that world. So he's not actually in Gotham. He thinks he is in Gotham. And when I went, wait, that would work, because it's still things happening in reality. There's stuff that's going on that affects him that is outside of his worldview, his imagination, and that, and all that stuff that's coming in, he's projecting internally Gotham, and he sees himself as, oh, I'm the Joker. I am the originator of the Joker. This is my story. So that's where I'm going. What if it's not an origin story? What if it's a poor guy with some mental illness, hallucinations, dementia, all sorts of different things, and he sees himself as being, the Joker?
What? No.
Or at least the start of the Joker. And that's where I went, wait, it's okay then that, things with Bruce Wayne are happening the way they are in Gotham, because it's not really a superhero origin story or supervillain origin story. It's a man who sees himself as that. Now, there was a lot of influence from Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro, as a man who has a breakdown, is first thinking of going to kill a senator who's going for the president, and then he decides he's going to save Jodie Foster's character from these pimps and that, and he reinvents himself to be this thing. And he suffered from mental illness and that. Then there's also King of Comedy, again starring Robert De Niro, and again, sort of more issues, mental issues and that, and the dreams being shattered and not realized, but having problems dealing with those dreams not being realized. So I'm glad they got Robert De Niro. That's why they went out and got him to play this part. But again, so you take that aspect of the Taxi Driver. Now imagine again, Arthur Fleck grew up with seeing Taxi Driver, because it came out in the 70s, and this is supposed to be taking place around the 80s. They don't actually give too much a straight timeline in that, but imagine if he had seen the Taxi Driver and he associated himself with Robert De Niro's character. So he also, the comedian or the talk show host, the comedian talk show host that he goes on, and that, what if he actually doesn't look like Robert De Niro, but in his mind, that's who he's seeing. He sees Robert De Niro because he saw, the King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, and he just sort of imagines him older now. And instead of, say, Johnny Carson or the like, he puts Robert De Niro's face on there. So he is seeing reality through his lens, through his perspective. He sees De Niro in that position. And then we won't see, it's not Thomas Wayne. he hears and sees the name Thomas Wayne, but it's actually not Thomas Wayne. It's maybe some other businessman who's trying to do stuff for the city of Chicago, because there's a long time that Chicago and that sort of stuff was, they thought would have been Gotham. It sort of fit the idea of that. Instead of him living in Chicago, he thinks he's living in Gotham because that's where he feels better, where he can handle things better than the real world of Chicago, where he is beat down and put upon all the time. So his freedom, as in the movie, happens, but it's not really happening. Again, it's just him seeing that this is how things would be if he was in, the Gotham in DC and Batman's universe, is that. So what parts are real and what parts aren't in the movie, it's very hard to tell. Again, there's some people who say the entire movie is in his mind, except for the very end where he's talking to the psychiatrist, or other parts are real or not. The second time I saw it, I was trying specifically just to have those, spot the times where it was fantasy or reality, and I think I did come up with it, but I don't want to say it here, because I want you to watch it, and I want you to try and see if you think it's real or fantasy, or parts are real, parts are fantasy, and if you can say where you would say, hey, that part's real, that part's fantasy. So I hope I see stuff in the comments. That's what I'm going for. I want you to go see the movie and sort of see if you can spot it yourself. I don't want you to be thinking of what I said was real or fantasy, or the spots I think I found. I want you to go in and then, do you think Gotham's real, or do you think Gotham's a fantasy, and that sort of thing. So I want discussion on this movie, and that's why for me it wins the top one of the year. Out of the Basement, we'll be doing a podcast for the end of the year, and we will be bringing forward our best movies of the year, and hands down, I'm nominating The Joker. So be aware of that. Check out our page, outofthebasement.ca, for the next, it'll be December for the end of the year review, and check out all the other ones we've done. So thank you very much for listening. A nice, quick, easy one today, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you. Hello, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please click the like on that to help us out. We also have a lot more videos on our channel, more reviews, patio time with Patrick, gaming talk, etc. So please click on subscribe so you'll be notified when more videos come out. We'll be much more regular in 2020, I promise. We also have a regular podcast going on through outofthebasement.ca, so check that out as well for all our 80 some odd episodes we have, plus special things for gaming from Star Wars and stuff like that. We are also involved in Patreon, so as you know, we don't get monetization from these YouTubes because we're not that big yet, but we do want to keep growing, and through your support through Patreon, we can hopefully achieve some of that, including getting better equipment, better locations, and all that sort of stuff. So if you do support us via Patreon, you'll get all our regular channels and our podcast, as well as access to blooper reels, special podcast reviews, being able to partake in our podcast, as well as join us for some online gaming. So I hope you're willing to do that. You're not just helping us, you're also helping pure little Mika here. See, she wants some new toys.